Well, welcome to another podcast of Just Asking. My name is Sue Trombino. I am the president and founder of Women Impacting the Nation. And I am excited to be with our guest today, Deb CUSICK. And our podcast, Deb, is just about asking questions. And so we're excited because we kind of stir the pot and we just go all over the place. And sometimes, I've been told that I've been a little squirrely and I kind of go all over. And but that's what we're going to do. We're going to hit all different topics today. But the topic today is really, Deb, you've been a missionary and actually on the campus of FAU with InterVarsity for about 18 years. Mm-hmm. And you have been all over not only the country, but around the world, dealing with younger students and just really all ages. But basically that younger crowd is really important because that's, we're in a mess today, but we are, they're just really having a hard time. And how do you, let's just be real, we're more mature. We're not in our 20s anymore. But as a more mature woman, you've been on there, and how do you keep getting onto campuses and having such an amazing effect with all these young people? Because they come to your home, you have them in your home. I think you said that you've had 16 different nationalities that Debbie deals with. It doesn't matter what you are, you're black, white, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, it all walks of life. And it's amazing. And it's, obviously it's your love for the Lord, but how do you deal with that? And how you can tell our audience, because we always are about action, how do you get on campus? How do you, because a lot of people want to help, but they don't know how. And so tell our audience, what is it that you do and how do you do it?
Okay, well, first is motivation, right? Again, God loves the nations. He wants his bride from every tribe, tongue, and nation. And so that's what's really inspired me, just the Papa's heart for the nations. So, and having traveled a bunch, I've really learned that, and God has been so strategic to send some of the most unreached people groups to our campuses. They are coming, it's the richest, that they can come to university here. Their daddy's wealthy. So they're the future leaders of the world. And God has been, again, so strategic that he brought them right here to us and that we need to reach them while they're here. And it could be a neighbor, the teenager, and it could be just someone you meet in the grocery store. We often just go witnessing where people are wearing hijabs and just go up to them. And the kindness is some people just so reject them, but they're here and we need to love them. So that ministry is just having God's heart and stopping for the one in front of you. It's just whoever he puts in front of you. That's our divine appointment for the day. Or you could have several.
Just real quick, you said something very important. It's stop right there. And we tend to, because we're on our phones or, whether you're looking at your text, you're on your phone, whatever, we just go by. We're not smelling the roses. We don't know who our neighbor is because the wall is up. And you have taken it to a different level, Deb. You really, you're just amazing of how you have, I said in an earlier podcast, you will know them by their fruit, and your fruit has been amazing. But, when you're on campus, first of all, you started with InterVarsity, Christian Fellowship, InterVarsity, and then so now you're on campuses. So how did you get in there, and how did you, because you're still there. So they obviously keep letting you come in, so that's amazing.
Well, and then really. I just started volunteering. So many women my age, I earned these wrinkles through hard things. But anyway, they would ask me, how do you get involved in things like this with younger people? Because maybe their grandkids or their kids have moved across country and they're feeling lonely, and I just say, I started volunteering with InterVarsity Christian Fellowship. I remember I first brought cookies to the staff who was on campus for their meetings. I would make homemade cookies, and that was a big sell, the chocolate chip cookies, And then she went on, she got married. she's got her nerve, and she left there, and they said, we don't have staff. So I was a hotel general manager at that time, but I had just enough time to run meetings and do outreaches and stuff with students. Some of the students asked me to be staff. So I did, and I just volunteer staff. You don't have to raise money and all that if you have enough, and I was supported enough with my job, great job. And again, I'd come back from being a missionary in Dominican Republic when I took the hotel job. And even with the hotel, that was the mission field. The Lord brought them from all over the world. And we had so many salvations and healings there. So I think it's just realizing as soon as you step out your door or before on the phone, you are the missionary. That is your mission field. So stopping for the one, so on campus, we just did such wonderful things. And again, I just
created relationships.
Yes.
Right. So that's how you
Yes.
kept, right? So, okay.
Yeah, with the students. Yeah, I took one on a missions trip to Peru. We go up the Amazon unreached tribes up there, which is it's a hard thing. And she's a nurse and she survived it, but it's really hard. And that's how, so she knew my heart for the lost. God has a tribe up there that he wanted to get to. So, and I speak Spanish, so I would translate for the doctor and all that. And anyhow, they, the wonderful thing is, like, I'm like grandma on campus. Even I am going to tell one wonderful story.
Absolutely.
We had prayer. Eventually, I had to have $1 million insurance because we were Christians and they might blow us up on campus here at FAU. I had to pay for that insurance, which was hard to find. Lloyd's of London didn't even want to insure us. And so with my, with, again, the resources the Lord has given me, I was able to rent a prayer room, and it was so cool. It was, because also with InterVarsity, I was asked to lead all the prayer rooms statewide. So I decorated them, as I got to do for WIN too, right? With the palm trees
and the cross, and
yeah, all the fun things, and the pillows, and the kids loved it. It was like the safe place for the Christians, And of course we had, I think, 7 Bible studies a week. And we also had the International House of Prayer live feed 24/7. Well, we didn't have it on all the time, but that's from Kansas City. And we had such mighty moves of God there. The kids would go out on treasure hunts around campus, and, God said, I'm supposed to look for someone in hot pants and with a pink backpack. Oh, you're God's treasure. I mean, how many people come to the Lord with that? And Bethel Church has taught us that. Well, we had during finals, we had finals, family, and friends, and finances. Like, do you need prayer for these? Little sign. And they'd come up and we pray for people, the students. And one day I was out there alone, and this kid came up. He's pretty athletic, and he came up and he said, will you pray for me? And I said, well, what do you need? And here, let me take your hand. So I'm holding his hand. He says, well, just pray. And so he was a young Black man, and he looked like an athlete, but not big. And I had dated one of the Cleveland Browns, and my husband was a football player. So I'm used to, so I'm, and I just started praying for him. And I went, I don't remember all I prayed, but I remember going, sticky hands, Lord, sticky hands. I thought, gosh, he's going to think I'm crazy. This old grandma praying sticky hands. And I said, and through our God, you can leap over a wall. And I'm going, my goodness, why did I say that? And we end, and he's looking at me, and I said, so should you play? Are you are you an athlete? He said, oh yeah. And I said, oh yeah, what do you play? He said, football. And I went, no.
Because he was little.
Because he's little. And I'm like, oh, you're going to try out? And he said, no, I'm a starter. And I'm like, really? That game, he was a cornerback.
Oh, cornerback.
Cornerback. And that game, he intercepted twice. He ran for a touchdown. It's the first game that FAU had won in like 3 years. The first game.
And he had sticky hands.
And he's so fast, and he'll run right over the pack. I mean, when they tackle him and block for him. All right, so listen to what God did. He came and found me before every game. And then he started bringing all the football team. And I'm showing them popcorn in a movie. I just
got goosebumps. That is
but wait till you hear what God did. So he becomes the number one cornerback in every game he's intercepting. They're running plays on the opposite side of the field because he's scary. He didn't even tell me he became the captain. And I said, how do you get all these guys coming to my little, popcorn in a movie things, that I'm doing? And he said, well, I'm the captain. He was the captain for 2 years, never told me. And finally I went to a game and he got all these awards and he got drafted with the pros. He went and played, he was in the first round picks and he would always honor Jesus. He would say, I know. And they'd say, don't mention Jesus anymore on the TV. Oh, yeah. But he'd always bring it up. God did this, Jesus did this. Mm-hmm. He was the only one who would take the knee. This was back when they would pray, and like 30 guys would come and kneel with him, back when it was a cool
Was a cool thing, not kneel for the other stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the referee even came and knelt with him once, and the police came to try to break it up, and I'm on my feet. We have freedom of speech, and so we fought for that. But to see him do that is just amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
That is a God glory
well,
story.
that is, I don't know how we're even going to top that. So we're going to end on that, but that is incredible. Yeah, see, what God can do, with, somebody, if you're older, it doesn't matter really what age you are. God doesn't care. Look what he did with David. Goodness gracious, he was just a shepherd. And with God, you can do all things. He says, you can do all things through God who strengthens you. So if God puts something on your heart, just do it. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that is how WIN really started. And, having a wrestling moment. And when the Lord tells you to do something, you do it. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks. We want to encourage you to just step up and just do what God's called you to do. Be obedient. And it's amazing how God will bless and how God blessed this young man just coming to you to pray. Yeah. You had no idea. Yeah. And look how how gracious God is to reveal that to you and show you that. Because sometimes we don't know, right?
Yes.
But he showed that to you. Yeah. So I'm just so grateful for you, Deb. And I just really am so excited that we get to be around people like Deb, and we want you all to, join us and be a part of it and do what God's called you to do, because we're all called to do something. And don't be fearful. Fear and faith cannot coexist. So have faith in what God has called you to do, even that little pricking. And so we're just really excited to, do our podcast of Just Asking. And here we've just asked Deb, well, how does she, get involved? And just volunteer. Just take one step. What is the best step is the next step. And it doesn't mean you have to. If the baby doesn't just start running, he has to crawl, and then he's got to try to get up, and so it's one step at a time. In Spanish they say un paso a paso. And but anyway, so we're just really excited for you all to join us. Please go to womenimpactingthenation.org, and you can go to 844-946-8255 and join us, because when we show up, we truly win, as Deb has just just awesomely explained how when you show up, God will give you the words and he'll give you everything that you need. We are not perfect, but you can surely be exceptional with the Lord. So join us next time on our podcast of Just Asking.